Hello, everybody. We're back. For the first time since this started, I took a little break over the holidays, and we are back with our first Real 50 Over 50 interview for 2025. So today, I'm very happy to introduce you to Deb Coman. She is a content conversion strategist and copywriter who empowers service-based businesses by teaching them how to create connection and build trust with their content. So many business owners allow mindset blocks to get in the way of simply being who they are and being who they are with their audience. And then, like, to just think, like, what could be possible when you strip down the layers, share more vulnerably, and make meaningful connections that lead to relationships and desired revenue and business goals. So, we're going to find out today with Deb because Deb and I know each other. God, it's got to be 10 years at least,
I
right?
I think at least, yeah.
And we met at Jeannie Spiro's event that I spoke at, and she was around a table with at least 5 or 6 people that have become treasures in my life and my business. And we spent years having late night conversations on Facebook chat, talking about kids and work and business and Twitter and all the things. And we just built this really great relationship doing that. And we've only met what, like twice, right?
I think
Maybe
2
three
or 3
times.
times, yeah, yeah.
And that's it. But we're here. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And we also both have the same approach to creating an online presence and building relationships and listening first. Um, we were chatting a little before we went live, so not being the kid that raises the hand and then thinks what to say.
Exactly,
So let's
exactly.
just dive right in. I mean, your big thing is social trust.
Yeah,
So
it is.
let's let's talk about that for a little bit. Like how how do you build it and what
Yeah,
keeps people from creating
yeah.
an experience of social trust?
Happy to share, and I know, Donna, you know this because you've done this naturally yourself from day one. But just for the audience or people who are maybe not so sure about it, and maybe doing it themselves too and not realizing it. But building social trust, I mean, trust itself is kind of a currency, if you will, that you need to earn. And it's part of the process when people are making decisions about if they'd like to work with you or not. And I believe that in every moment when we're online, we have the opportunity to build trust or to erode it. And many are unknowingly eroding it with how they approach the social media platforms, email, relationships, the whole bit. And many have this ability to kind of naturally build trust. They're the natural connectors. They're the people who like conversation, the people who really care about what's happening. And not that this other group doesn't care, but I think they tend to get into the business mode of social media is a vehicle to build my business, or
Mm.
email marketing is a way for me to sell my services. Now, those things are somewhat true. However, we need to have an underlying foundation of building relationships using those vehicles. And that's the part that many people who can do this in real life have challenges translating that to online.
Yeah, they
Um,
they they think they need to be a different person online
exactly.
than they are in real life.
Right. If I'm being professional, I need to do X, Y, and Z. I need to not do this. The not column tends to be things like I can't be vulnerable. I can't show the times when things are not going well. I can't let people know I have things that are challenging in my life. When in fact, as you and I both know, the exact opposite is true. That vulnerability does build trust. It makes us more relatable. It allows people to see that we're not perfect, right? We know that, but it also allows them to see that, hey, maybe this person can actually help me because it sounds like they've had a similar circumstance or that sort of thing. And we also share our values when we're vulnerable, when we're comfortable saying, "Hey, this is what I stand for," or "This is where I what I do in my private time," or "This is an organization that I feel strongly about and support." Those are connection opportunities where people say, "Oh, wow, like I'm curious. I want to hear more. I want to get to know this person." So
Yeah.
um, yeah, there's so many ways to do it, and also for people to be helped to learn how to bring that into their content, which I know you've built a business on that. That's what I do with my clients is help people, as you mentioned, strip down to where you're comfortable. I mean, not everybody wants to go past whatever line they're
No,
drawing, and
you have to feel comfortable, because if you don't feel comfortable, that comes across as inauthentic as well.
absolutely. It's that energetic piece, as we
Person
all
don't
know. Yeah, exactly.
And
Bring that
Tracy said
there.
being human is authentic. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've
Look
got
at
Angela here too. Angela was around the table with us when
exactly,
we first yeah,
exactly.
and,
Angela, Jim, Joanne, now these are all people I've met through online, and they have become dear connections to me. So this
yeah,
is really how it works, right?
and just to add to that, last week, I mean, or was it this what day is today? Wednesday. It was
I
last
think
week.
so.
I don't know.
Don't
The
count
days
me
are
on it.
recently, since the first of the year, okay? Since the first of the year, I've had 2 phone calls because I've kept my schedule light just to kinda ease back in, and I didn't know either of these people. They were introduced to me. They were not sales calls, and within 15 minutes of being on Zoom with each of these people, they asked for a link to buy my services.
Yeah,
And
no surprise.
one of them does the same exact thing that I do, and she said, "I could hire somebody else, but you get me because we do the same thing." And she said, "Are you
Yeah,
okay helping with me?" I said, "Absolutely." I don't
yeah.
believe in the competition. The only time I talk about competition is when I talk about SEO.
That's different. I agree, and that's another I'm so glad you mentioned that because that's another thing is often people feel like they can't be connected or contribute or share other people's content who do similar work. Like, why
Yeah.
would I support that person that's taking, clients and revenue from me? The opposite is what's really true,
Oh,
right?
and here's the thing too, when you build those relationships with people that do work similar to yours, they become referral sources because how like, we're all like tiny micro little solo businesses. How many people could we possibly work with? And not everyone is for us. We're not for them, you know?
Right.
So if you can refer somebody to somebody else that you know and you trust and you respect their work, like, why would you not?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think of referrals a lot as the transfer of trust, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, when you get on a call with someone who was referred, you're already several steps ahead of having a cold conversation because that trust gets transferred based on what you've done with that other person and the foundation, the relationship that you've built, that they bring that energy into that first conversation, which is why it's no surprise to me that people would want to work with you in those first quick calls you did with people you hadn't yet met.
Yeah.
And yeah, and Joanne, like Joanne says, same thing. We refer and we've gotten to know each other over the years, never met in real life, and refer to each other all the time and support each other's messages
Mhm.
online and check in with each other. Like that's what it's really all about. And when you approach social media that way, it's so much more enjoyable. It's not a slog, it's not a drag or the black hole people talk about.
Mm,
It's an opportunity to build real relationships, and
yeah.
as you've said, whether or not people buy, it's not about that, and those that are in it for the sale, we know because as soon as they realize we're not buying, they cut us off, and that feels awful. But then we know, like, and usually most of us have a sense that that's the way they are anyway, to be honest. If you're into tapping into that intuition and the energy, you can kind of tell. And who's authentic, who really is who they are. Like your real 50 over 50. It's pretty darn real in the conversations,
It
right,
is
Donna?
real, and we're up to 130 people. I slowed things down because I'm doing this all myself, but every single person in here is somebody that I personally knew or was introduced to by somebody that I personally knew. So it's not random. It's not just, I'm not just accepting anybody who like knows my name, and I've turned people down. And it's
Yeah.
not about list size, and it's not about how much money you make. That's not the criteria. The criteria is that you're not going to use this as a platform for sales because it is a reflection of my value of what business is about. And not
Yeah.
just my value, like the people that are in this. I mean, I want it to be a shared value. Like we build the relationships and the sales just happen. Yeah, there is no sales process when you build relationships because,
Right.
if somebody needs what you do, like, and they like you and care about you and value and trust you, why would they hire somebody else? And then
Right.
it never and then it never becomes trying to sell that thing that you have to somebody that doesn't really need it, which in this online world, that's rampant. I mean, I cannot tell you how many people come to me, and the first thing that I have to do is clean up all the misconceptions, all of the things that they bought, nurture them through the sunk costs.
Yeah.
So we could actually get some work done. And it is particularly rampant for people over 50 because they might not
Mm,
be well versed in the technology and what they actually need. And what I view as the most important part is how the pieces come together.
yeah.
Because you think I need this and I need this and I need this and I need this, and then you've got all of these systems that don't connect.
Right. I know, and that's what I've always loved about your work, and I think why we've had so many conversations about when we build trust and learn how to do some things that support that, it translates to other areas. It's
Yeah.
not like you've talked about, like it's not like in a silo, like, okay, now I'll go over here and figure out how to do email marketing. It's like it's the basis of everything that we do, and we can learn how to apply it to every day, to Zoom coffee chats, to
Yes.
networking groups we're a part of. Like it's the same
To
way to
parenting.
be. It's
I
parenting.
mean, how many of our late
Oh,
night conversations bounce back and forth between parenting to Twitter to listening to, I mean, all of it, it's all connected
right.
because it's how you show up everywhere. How you
Yeah.
do anything is how you do everything, right? So,
Yes.
we had to listen to those teenage boys who are now all
That's
men.
right. Exactly. And it happened in the 10 years that we were getting to know each other. They were busy moving away from us, and thank goodness we have each other to talk about that piece of it too. And that's what's so beautiful when we find people, and it can be met people in the most surprising places that you would never think this is someone I'm going to be close to. But when you can bring all of that to the conversation, you don't have to compartmentalize. You don't have to put on the smiley face because we're having a coffee chat today and I just had a horrible morning. Like you can bring it all, and many people feel really touched by being brought into that. Excuse me, whether it's online or in a one-on-one conversation, they feel like they have a little more insight into what your life is like, and how you deal with things, how you communicate. And those are the things that they are mentally checking if they're thinking about working with you or referring you.
Yeah.
They want to feel good about that and solid.
Now, here's another part that we have very similar views on how this translates into content.
Yeah. Yeah.
and you
Right.
build the content that's out there building relationships for you when you're doing something else.
Yes, absolutely, right? The content that shares your values, that shares some stories, a lot of stories, that tells the journey of who you are. And as we all know, one of the biggest underpinnings to that is why we do what we do. Like, why is this important to us? Why did we choose this journey? It sure as heck is not easy a lot of the time. Why do we do this? Why do you do the real 50 over 50? When I was posting about this, was saying how, in your some of your materials, it talks about the visibility project. And I said, this visibility project, and it was like, no, mission. Like, this is your mission. This is your
Yeah,
belief. This is you, and you would not be putting your time and effort into it if you didn't believe really strongly that the women that are called to join in this community share similar values, need to be heard, that people can learn from
yeah,
us.
yeah. I mean, I started this because I got pissed off at Forbes and Mika Brzezinski. Um, and since that day, I've learned that if you are a founder or a small business owner and you want to be nominated for the 50 over 50 with Forbes, you need to have a minimum of $10 million in revenue. So we're
Yeah.
not talking a big company. We're talking about people like us. Um, Honestly, I don't want to do what you would have to do in a business to have $10 million in revenue.
Mm.
I just don't. And it breaks my heart when I see these women that I know that are so smart and so accomplished and have, trudged through, like, the muck and mire of life to get where they are, and they're doing this incredible work that they were, like, just meant to do, and nobody knows about them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's so beautiful what you're doing for women like that, because not everyone is comfortable speaking, not everyone is comfortable on video, not everyone can craft a message that kind of really shares what they're all about. So you're so right that, we it's a gift to be able to do any of these things, and we can't take that for granted. And when we're in really want to be of service, we want to help people do that. We want to either do it for them, or help them have the opportunities like what you've done with this entire platform, to just be seen, to just be heard, to just have opportunity. Like you said, not to sell, not not to work the room type of thing, but to really just show up and have stories. I love that it's unscripted. I know when we checked in before, I said, Donna, I have a blank page. I didn't write anything down. Am I right? And we're just going to have a conversation. And I love that. I love that. And not everyone is comfortable in that scenario, right? It's easier for some to stick to a script. For me, it's the
No,
exact opposite.
and
I don't
yeah, I can't do a script. I
no.
start stumbling all over myself. I've had a couple of people that I've interviewed that were not comfortable, and I said, "Just follow my lead."
Right.
And when it was done, they were so relieved, and then I start seeing them popping up on podcasts and live
Yeah.
streams, and, they're sharing things they never would have shared before, and it makes me so happy because they were just afraid to put themselves out there, and, you
Yeah.
know, this wasn't a big thing, it was just a half an hour conversation, but it kind of opened a door for them that
Yeah.
maybe wouldn't have been opened, or maybe somebody would have charged them thousands of dollars to kind of make this hard and too structured, and, you know, that comes through the noise. This is what comes
Yeah.
through the noise. Just showing up as who you are. And
Yeah.
when you're the same with whatever you do and wherever you show up, um, that's what builds trust.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And it's not as hard as people may think it is, because you sit down at a blank screen and think, well, how do I build trust? How do I share a value? You just start. You just tell a story. You just share
Yeah,
something from your day. And you learn as you go, and then you start that ignites conversation. And as we know as listeners, that's where you can find the kernels to begin too, right? Is I do a lot teaching people how to comment on social media. Forget
Commenting
about, right?
strategy.
But
I think I started saying that around 2010.
no kidding, right? You've done it from the beginning. And many people, that's the last piece. Like they're like, I gotta post, I gotta get the Canva image right. I gotta, and it's like, no, that stuff is important, but come at it from the conversation and the trust building. Engage with other people's content. You and I know this. Um, but it's remarkable. And I just took a group through doing some of this. What can happen in just a few short days, hours of doing that?
One of the things I learned about LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, and it could be totally different now because things are changing so fast. Don't hold me to this if it's not true anymore. But the way the algorithms work, you they're not getting the bulk of their income from ads. So the bulk of the income is coming from selling space on their site to the jobs platform and to the learning platform, and selling premium accounts. So we're not the product there. So the algorithms work differently than they do on Facebook and Instagram. And in a period of between 7 and 30 days, based on how you interact on LinkedIn, you can retrain it with what you want to see. So, like, just by doing that commenting and, connecting with the people you want to connect with, you can retrain LinkedIn to show you more of what you want versus what it cares to show you,
Mm,
which is
yeah,
really powerful. It's really powerful. And that's not something you can outsource. You need to
right.
spend the time and do it, because the other thing is LinkedIn doesn't want you sharing your password with anyone.
Yes, exactly. I when I heard that recently, I thought, "Ooh, that's going to change things for a lot of people." Those of us who have done our own all along, that's not a concern. But it's so true that commenting, engaging, letting the platform know what you want to see.
Mm,
Not all of them are going to do it as well, but a lot of the algorithms do include a big piece of that. That what you engage with, you will likely see more of. It sounds like more on LinkedIn than perhaps some of the other ones right now, as we know. But that's what you do. So I always say to people, if you don't like your feed, you have some power here to change that
absolutely.
and engage with that you want to see more of.
Yeah.
Start
I
those conversations.
I mean, it's the equivalent of, like, going to an event, paying, traveling, doing all the things to go to an event, and then to spend your time talking to people you don't like.
Right. Right.
Why would you do that?
Exactly. And I know
Circle
you
the
and I,
room, find the people you
right.
want.
And then just like at a party, when you come back after you've done that first round, you can pick up the conversation again, right? So we never have to open up a platform and say, "Oh, what am I going to do today?" It's like if you're doing it right, you'll have a bunch of notifications. Someone
Yeah,
responded to the thing you said, someone thanked you for sharing, someone, and now you start there.
yeah.
Stop starting. What a great message. But don't start with, "Here's my post, everybody,"
Yeah,
but what's going on? Let me check out the room. Let me mingle on the platform before I say, "Hey, here's the piece I want to share
yeah.
today." It really, really works. And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. I always say to people, as I know you share too, it's quality over quantity every single time.
It actually takes less time to be you than to try and train somebody to be you, whether that's a human being or an AI tool.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Right? We have to stop working so hard for the perfect phrase or word and just say it. That's the real
Yeah,
you. You don't want to be something online. Someone hires you, they get on a call with you, and you're not that same person anymore, right? Like that's the one of the, I mean, I don't know how to do it any differently, but But if you're not the same online as you are in person, when they get on that call with you, they're kind of like, wait a minute, what's up? What's going on here? And trust is eroded in that moment, right?
Yeah.
But when they see you or meet you, I know Joanne nicely said, oh, there she is again, how it feels like we've met in person. That's very true. And Tracy and I had this happen. We knew each other, worked alongside each other with Women's Speakers Association for a long time before we met in person. And when we did, I said, wait a minute, have we met before? Because
Mm.
we knew each other the same. You and I, Donna, had that happen when every time we come together. And everyone has that opportunity. Now, maybe not everyone wants that, but I certainly do.
Mhm.
Jennifer's another one. I can't wait to meet her in person. We've had very deep conversations in just getting to know each other. Like, and that's what's available to everyone who's listening in and watching today. You
Yeah.
have that opportunity. You just have
Yeah.
to go out there and do it.
Yeah. One of the things that I share with clients is that if instead of trying to, push out too many posts or, just do, if they spend 15 minutes a day and intentionally connect with 5 new people a week, not even every day, but 5 new people a week, at the end of the year, you have like a mass of people that you have intentionally connected with that you wanted to connect with. Now, if we relate that to how many clients we need in our business, so let's say you do that and you connect with 200 new people a year doing that, just by connecting with 5 or so people a week, right? And like spending the time to figure out who they are, listening to see, oh, do I like what they say? Who else are they connected to? Do we have things in common? Do we care about the same things? Um, you know, just looking for those avenues of commonality. And at the end of the year, let's say there's 200 people that you've connected with, and let's say you need 20 clients a year. In all likelihood, those 20 clients are going to come from those 200 people. But what we do is we see somebody, and I mean, I've been doing this close to 20 years and I still do this. Okay. We see somebody, crushing it with some launch or some thing that we don't even want. That we don't need, and then we buy stuff we don't need. Like, it's like, "Oh, my kid ate yesterday, let me go pay for that $400 thing that I don't need." And, we just really need to be mindful, and I find that there's 2 things that ground me when I go launching myself into the bright, shiny pool. One is I kind of dig deep into remembering who I am and what I care about. And the 2 things that I care about more than anything else is being curious and making a difference, and my child, but aside from that. Um, and the other thing is, what do I actually need?
Yeah.
Like, what do I need? And when I boil it down to those 2 things, I remember who I am at my core, and I get realistic about what I need, and most of the time, I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
So, it's the equivalent of buying things from online at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. That creation piece that, and my mom used to say, slow your roll. She said it a lot at the end. It became like one of her phrases. But it's funny. I think of it a lot now. Like when we see, like you said, someone seems like they're doing really well. Other thing is they may not be, but still. And we
Yeah.
say, "Oh, look at that little product they have. I could
Mhm.
do that. I could create that." And that's when we have to hear my mom saying, "Slow your roll and do the little practice you just did." Like, hang on a minute, right? Where do you want to be? Are we wanting to slash prices, buy today? I mean, maybe that works for some people. What's our value? How do we want to show up? And oftentimes expressing our value does not mean lowering our prices. It often means raising them, right? I mean, standing in them and in the power of that. And the same is true, like you said, as we see other people doing other things, jumping on the next bandwagon that's working wonders, it's not going to be for everybody. And we
Yeah.
need to have that solid peace in ourselves and in the community that we've gathered around us, to stay in there and keep being who we are. And those other things, like you said, can be tremendous distractions that don't always lead to what we think they're going to lead to. So
Yeah.
we
Well,
need to be
they can also
mindful.
they could stop you in your tracks
Oh, yeah, without
from doing
absolute.
anything, because what it'll do is kick up the fear, it'll kick up the imposter syndrome, it'll kick up the "I'm not enough. Oh, she did that and I didn't," and that's not where we need to be. We need to be in the
Yeah,
place rooted in our core, rooted in our
yeah.
values and our strength, and, I drink out of this mug almost every day. It's got my strengths. This is from Strength Finders.
Oh, love it.
So, days that I feel wobbly, this is my mug.
You get reminded.
I get
Yes.
reminded of what, what my strengths are, and we all have them, and,
Yeah.
um, when you can drink from the cup of your own strength,
Oh, I
it's kind
love
of a
it.
good message.
That's pretty deep. Pretty deep, my friend.
So, I cannot believe we have been on this for half an hour already, and
Yeah.
it is, time to wind it up, and thank you to everybody who's been chiming in, and can I just say, we don't get a lot of live people on these calls. We get a lot of people that listen to replays and binge, and, but we don't get a lot of live people, but today we did, and we did because of Deb, because
Oh.
she knows how to build relationships with people. And this didn't happen because she got 700 comments on a post she shared. She got like 4.
I have to say, I thank you for saying that. I'm so touched, of course, by so many nice things you've said. And also that the people who tuned in today live, like it means so much to me. You know who you are. And it is because we have relationships. And I posted like yesterday, like I was not doing my usual due diligence. And I was like, I got to post a little bit here before the today and invite a couple of people. And people show, and that's because of trust and reciprocity, because it's a shared relationship. It's not a one-way thing. These aren't like all my clients are here because I said come see me.
No.
It's not that at all. We just have relationships with each other. And thank
Yeah.
you so much, Joanne, and everyone else who tuned in, and Donna, because this is what you do every day, and people should be getting these on the calendar to be here live so they can join in the conversation with you and with your guests.
What I keep telling people is that the women that are in this community are the women that you're out there looking for. So just head over to the webpage, the real 50 over 50.com, and you can binge replays. You can read bios on every one of the 130 women that are part of this, and connect with somebody. Pick 2 or 3 people and just connect with them. Say, "I've listened to your interview. I watched your interview. I read something from your profile page," whatever. But these are the people you're looking for. They've been vetted.
Yeah. Yes, I know. And I look around and there's so many people that I knew, and I thought we all came here in different ways, through different connections and relationships. And I would bet that every single one is based on trust at the core of it. That's what
Yes.
led to the, oh, you should know her, you should check out this, and you should look at this community because it's really amazing. And that's how we build community, whether we run a big program or not. It's community isn't about that. I feel like if you're on social media, you can have community, period. They might not be buying from you or doing the thing, but that's your community. Those are your people. And
Mhm.
you're their person too. Like it's both ways. And
Yeah.
and everyone can do this. And it makes business so much easier, and you feel supported, right? We're not going it alone. We
Yeah.
have people around us, and that's really
Mhm.
why I do it. Like I feel energized by it most of the time.
I get a lot of people reaching out to me, saying, "I need somebody that does this. Who can you recommend?" And "I need somebody who does this. Who can you recommend?" And I've always had that in my world, but since I started doing this project, it's increased because you know I got a bunch of people.
130 and counting, I would say so. Um,
Yeah,
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 and
and, yeah,
lots of wisdom on your
so much,
panels.
and yeah, and everybody, like, the lessons that come through these conversations are so incredibly powerful, and, everybody that's part of this, they didn't have it easy. They've been through the fire and live to tell about it. And these are real people. These are people that are your sisters and your mothers and your friends and your first cousin and your friend from elementary school and all of it. And they're out there every day doing something profound. And I want to share their stories. So if you know anybody else, hook us up.
Yes, and I already have a list of people, and if I haven't made the connection, it's my slowness, but I will be doing that. But you don't need me to just check out Donna and find out how to become part of the community. It's really been amazing. And there's so much there, like you said, you can go back in and binge the interviews and gain all the wisdom that people are sharing and get to know them. It's really lovely. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it and to know you all these years and just to continue to be surprised by you and laugh with you and share more and more of our stories all the time.
Yeah, this has been fun. I like to end these with a wisdom bomb. Can you leave everybody with something short and actionable that is meaningful?
Yes. Okay. So let's say when it comes to social media, engage first and engage often. Let that be your mantra. If you want more engagement, engage first, engage often,
Yeah.
and have a little
What
fun. That's from my dad. His last words were always have fun. And it's not a bad way to live.
No, it isn't. And it can be fun. And the thing is we try to make it into be something. It doesn't have to be anything. It just needs to be a place to have a conversation.
Exactly. I know. Thank you so much, Donna. You're the
Thank
best.
Thank you, thank you, and thank you everybody for chiming in and being here. And if we're not connected, let's connect. And we'll be back every Wednesday at noon Eastern with another person. We're booked all the way into July. Thank you, Deb.
Thanks, Donna.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great Wednesday.